Hello and welcome to Library Connection. I'm Mandy Cantrell, Youth Services Director at the B.B. Comer Memorial Library. Today our show I'm very excited about is one of our patrons on, Holly Garrett, who teaches third grade at Fayetteville School, is joining me today. Now Holly is a friend of mine. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad. I'll tell you why I asked Holly. Holly is in the library a lot. She has a son who's 5, right? They're checking out books. One of our biggest readers during the last 2 summers, just hundreds of books. That's awesome, Holly. And as she's checking out books, she'll say, you know, I think I could use this with my third graders next year. So she uses books at home with her son, and then she's checking out books to use at school, and even one that we've used at church. I'll say we'll have to get into that. So we love that when we have folks who come in who really use our library for a lot of different reasons. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Before we get started on this stack of books here, Holly, you teach third grade at Fayetteville School, right? Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, my name is Holly Garrett. I'm originally from Gadsden, Alabama. I attended the University of Alabama and received a degree in elementary education. I went back to Gadsden and taught 4th grade for 2 years in Gadsden. And then I married my husband, Blake Garrett, and moved here to Sylacauga. We've been here about 10 years. I taught 4th grade at Fayetteville for about 4 years, and then I've been teaching 3rd grade at Fayetteville since.
Right.
Blake is the general manager at the Orvis Sporting Grounds at Purcell Farms, and as Ms. Cantrell said, I have a 5-year-old named Will Garrett who's also in kindergarten at Fayetteville this year.
Right, and a great reader, Willie. Learning
Well, we're working on it.
That's good, that's good. I am really excited. Well, I know Holly uses a lot of her books. I mean, we're friends on Facebook, and I see some of the things, or you tell me about them, so I'm really excited. And I brought this stack of books, and that's really what I wanted you to share, just kind of how you've used your books and what's your students' reaction to, you know, how did they enjoy what you were doing. And I will have to say, my experience with teaching is kindergarten, 1st, and 2nd, and that's a lot of phonics, and you're learning to read, learning to put letters together and to be fluent. And in 3rd grade, it's a little bit different, I guess. I know you're still teaching some of that, but for the most part, children, they understand how to read. So.
Well, I think we kind of take everything a little bit deeper. Like, we're still working on phonics. Like, this past couple of weeks, we've been working on consonant digraphs, where they're working to see what CH makes. And, of course, a lot of them already know CH makes the ch sound, but a lot of them don't know that CH also makes the sh sound, as in machine or shift. Yes. Kind of taking it a little bit deeper. So we still work on phonics, a little bit harder skills maybe. And then also we're working on comprehension strategies, taking them deeper. We work with the text features, learning how the headings tell what's going on in the paragraph that they're reading. We talk about captions of photographs. We really work on using text evidence to answer questions. They can't just make up answers, or I think this is what it says. They have to prove it from the text. So again, just kind of taking everything they've already learned a little bit deeper.
A little bit deeper. That's great. Well, we're going to talk about some of the books you've used to teach some of those things. The first one is, What If Everybody Did That?
Well, all 3rd grade teachers read this book this year. It's a really funny book. That's why I pick a lot of the books from the library, try to get them a different variety of books. And
it should be fun.
Yes, books that I think they'll enjoy and really get them into the love of reading. But we read this like at the beginning of the year to kind of go over our rules, and while we have classroom rules and school rules, and the importance of following the rules, because just like it says, what if everybody did that? If one person does something, it might not be that big of a deal, but when everybody does it, it's a little bit harder. Do you mind if I take this? One of the pages has, oh, here it is, look, turn right to it. One of the pages has where the teacher's reading a book to the class, and one person has a comment they want to make. So they shout out to the teacher, which might not be that big of a deal, but when all the kids in the classroom are trying to shout out during reading the story, it's a little bit harder to get through the story and to hear what each student has to say. So just funny things like that, and when the kids see this, they think it's hilarious. But now when they do it, they don't understand understand that it's a little hard to hear them. But again, just they thought it was funny, just getting them to enjoy reading. And then also, every time we talked about rules later, we would all say, well, what if everybody did that? So it was kind of a fun little saying to get going in the classroom.
That's a fun way to teach those rules that are important, and they are learning it. Mm-hmm. What about this one, late for school?
This one also, I don't think we tested on what if everybody did that, but I also try to find, Miss Mandy does a great job of labeling all the AR books. So
I have to say, it's not me labeling. Catherine Evelyn in the back, awesome job. And it's wonderful.
Still, they do a good job of being able to quickly scan the books at the library and see the AR level. Yeah. So I know this is 3.1, that this is the third grade level. So I just read this to the kids, and then they took an AR test on it.
Good.
Late for school. It's just a funny story about this little boy that is talking to his teacher about all the different things that happened that made him late to school. This is when it was raining down snowmen that, that made him late for school, raining down the snowmen. And
stuck in the tar or other things like that.
Stuck in the tar. Something about the school bus, and then ended up, it was on a Sunday anyway, and he napped. But then when he fell asleep and napped on a Sunday, then when he got up by Monday, he was still late for school the next day. But anyway, it's just a funny story that the kids enjoyed. And like I said, I read it aloud to them, and they took an AR test on it. So that's giving them an opportunity to read a different book that maybe our school library doesn't have, I'm not sure, but then also gain AR points. And just increasing reading is always good for any child.
And even though they're third grade, they're not too old for you to read to them.
No, and they love it. They love it. And they like to see what books that I pick versus the books that they individually pick.
That's great. That's great. We're going to pause right here and take a break for a commercial, and then come back and talk about some more of these books. Hope you'll join us.
Hi, it's Shawnee McNeil at South First Bank. This is a great time for you to buy or build a new home, or maybe refinance your present mortgage. Our rates are the lowest they've been in years, and that means saving you money. We've been helping our customers become homeowners in this area for nearly 70 years, and we can make our approvals right here in the office, and that means saving you time. We're located here in downtown Sylacauga. Come in and find South First, a better way to bank.
Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Marble City Pharmacy in Sylacauga is your destination for the highest quality health care. Our knowledgeable pharmacists are always available for questions about your medications or advice on taking over-the-counter products and supplements. Our friendly staff can assist you in choosing from our full lines of compression hose and medical equipment. And don't forget our gift department. We have a great selection of unique gifts for every occasion. Stop by today and see us. Marble City Pharmacy, where your health comes first.
Coosa Valley Medical Center, one of the top 10 hospitals in Alabama, is also Sylacauga's largest employer. Services from the emergency room to surgery to cancer treatment to post-stroke care. You won't believe what's right in your backyard. It's Coosa Valley Medical Center in Sylacauga. So, if you're sick in Alabama, choose one of the top 10 hospitals in Alabama. That is Coosa Valley Medical Center.
Hello and welcome back to Library Connection. I'm talking with Holly Garrett. She is third grade teacher at Fayetteville School, and we're talking about all the different books that she checks out and uses with her students. And I think parents could do this too, a part of what you're doing, or maybe you'll find a good book you'd like to read to your child. Mm-hmm. We're going to get on to the next one. What do teachers do after you leave school?
Again, this is a third grade level book, so when I saw it, of course, I was just drawn to it. And another thing that y'all do at the Sylacauga Library that I love is y'all use themes. And this was a theme, getting back to school. So they have the theme.
Displays.
Yes, ma'am. They had the theme on display, this book on display, getting back to school. And of course, being a teacher and having a child going to school, I thought it was hilarious. I originally checked it out to read to Will, which I did. Yeah. But then I thought, I've got to take this book back to my kids at school so they can read it because they'll think it's hilarious. Mm-hmm. Which they did, because of course the teachers after school, they go to the science lab and have all these crazy experiments making slime. They have food fights in the lunchroom, in case you didn't know. But it was hilarious to read, and I have a couple of teachers' children in my room this year, and so they were like, "That's not what teachers do after school," but it is.
Funny.
It's really funny, and also they have to get it all cleaned up before school the next day. So
Yes,
it was a good book to read. Do you want me to show a couple of the
if you want
pages
to.
that were some favorites for us? And again, they took. We have a teacher roller skating. I'm not sure if you can see in this that they roller skate down the hall. They play basketball in the gym. So that's why we're so worn out the next day.
That's right. Yeah, it's a busy night.
It's a busy night. Yes.
fun.
So they took an AR test on this, and again, they thought it was hilarious. When I'm reading these books, you might hear a lot of giggles in the classroom, but we're learning.
That's good, and if it's fun, that's even better.
Yes.
Now, this is one I like, The Retired Kid by John A.G.
Me
This
too.
one was a hoot. I love this one.
I wish that this book had been around when I was a kid. I might have retired at an earlier age. But I started this book out before I even showed my kids this book. I just told them this was very serious. We weren't going to talk about the answer to the question I was about to ask them. They couldn't call out. And just very seriously, I asked them, I said, raise your hand if you think it's really hard being a kid. And they were trying to close their mouths, try not to giggle, but of course those hands just flew up. And then I showed them this, and then they just started laughing even harder. We had to talk about, of course, what the word retired meant, which they knew, but that was good vocabulary introduction there. And this child, it's just tough doing homework and going to different lessons during the week, and it's just tough being a kid, which I give them that. It is tough being a kid. But he was ready to retire. And so he had to go to a retirement community, which was good for a little bit. He enjoyed playing golf and getting some time off a little bit. But then he realized he had to do yoga every morning with some ladies, and he had to look at pictures of grandchildren for hours. And so he was ready to come back from retirement. But the kids definitely enjoyed it. Again, they took an AR test on it. So that was good.
3.1. Those are all third grade. That's right. That's right. This is one of my favorites.
Yes, and you're the one who introduced me to that book.
I have given this to many people, especially dads who like to read aloud to their children. I think this is The Legend of Rock, Paper, Scissors by Drew Daywald. I love this book.
Which most kids love the game Rock, Paper, Scissors. There's not a whole lot of introduction to this book. They're familiar with that. But I was shocked that some of them weren't doing it correctly. After we read the book, we had to go into the actual rules of rock, paper, scissors. But before we read this book, I put up a chart paper. I try to ask them a question or give them something to be thinking about before I start reading the book. And I put a piece of chart paper with 3 columns on it. And it said, which object would you rather challenge? And it had a clothespin, because a clothespin is challenged in the book. It had the dinosaur chicken nuggets that are challenged in the book. And then a computer printer. And again, the kids are just dying at the question. They had to put their name up. I gave them a sticky note. They had to put their name in each column, which they ended up being about even. But we had to talk about what the word challenge meant. I remember they were like, you mean like fight? And I was like, well, it could be like a fight, but it could be like your soccer team is challenging my soccer team.
Right.
So we got into multiple meaning words there. But anyway, it was just hilarious because rock, paper, scissors, they could not find anybody that could challenge them or defeat them until they met one another. And that's how we get the game rock, paper, scissors. And we had to, after we read it, again, could take an AR test on it. But then we had a rock, paper, scissors challenge of our own. Where they started challenging their partner, and then once the person from that group won, they went to another group. So we ended up having a rock, paper, scissors winner for the whole class.
How fun. How fun. A lot of fun, but with a definite purpose. And I like learning new words like challenge. I mean, we might assume they know what that means.
And that was 3.9. So I think even like legend, we had to talk about what that meant. I think it had, because that's at the higher end of third grade. I think we had a lot of words that we had to discuss.
Good. That's great. The Plot Chickens. I like this one too.
This is an awesome book too. I have not read this book to my students this year yet. I actually found it this summer with part of the summer reading, and it's about obviously a chicken who wants to become a writer, and everybody's telling her that she can't because she's a chicken. She can't become a published writer, and she's like, it's easy, and she goes through the rules of how you develop a story, how you actually write a story. Well, in 3rd grade, we teach narrative writing, and it's really their first year to really dig deep into that with dialogue and characters, which is hard for 3rd graders. But I'm going to use this book. We don't usually start teaching narrative writing until the 2nd semester, so I'm going to use this book to help them because it goes through the rules very explicitly, what they have to do to form a story. And I just think, again, introducing the writing with a story helps the students understand. I'm going to show you an example.
Yes, go ahead.
Where she's going over the rules, which it would be easy. Okay, so here's rule number 2. You need to hatch a plot. They need to have a plot, and they know what a plot is from reading. It's the story events, the beginning, middle, end. She has a good opening. Once upon a time. I'll go. Rule 3 is give your main character a problem. Okay. And then I know at the end some other chickens are giving her help where they want somebody to solve the character's problem. Right. And then she goes back and she says, it's Henrietta's, the main character in this story's name. She says, no, the main character has to solve their own problem. Oh, okay. It's just very good in showing how narrative writing develops and the main rules. So my plan is to actually chart these rules so the students can go back. I think there's like 8 of them and look at those rules when they're developing stories. So.
And how fun to learn it from a fun book.
Henrietta,
yeah. I mean, not that you're not fun, Holly, but how fun. And they're probably going to remember them, remember the rules because they're coming from some, besides my mouth, me telling you. How neat. That's it. Well, we'll be sure and keep this for you. All right. Now, this last one, Holly and I go to church together, and I walked by your Sunday school, and you teach 3-year-olds in Sunday school. Quite different from 3rd grade.
Yes, but that's why I like the 3-year-olds. It gives me a little bit of a difference.
They're a sweet group, and you do a great job with them. They have so much fun. And I walked by there, and you said, look, I'm using one of your books. So I was so excited. This is called the Minosaur, and if you see the little dinosaur holding the toys like they're mine,
they're all his.
You can kind of guess what this would be about.
Yes. Well, we were just learning that day about being kind to others and sharing with others. And the Minosaur did not like to share at all. Like everything is mine, mine, mine. They're all mine. Even things that weren't his, he would collect and say that they were mine. But at the end, he realizes nobody wants to play with him because everything is his and he won't share. And then he was all alone. Even though he had all the toys, he was all alone. And it wasn't quite as fun as he had expected. So then he learned to be kind and share. And then he had this whole group to play with. So he learned that was important to have a lot of friends. So.
Well, this is good for all of us. I think
an important lesson for everybody.
At any age, yes, that's great. I love this book, though. That's one of our newer books. We haven't had it very long, so we're going to take a break. This is a good time to take a break for commercials and be back and talk a little bit more with Holly.
Looking for a great pre-owned car or truck? Come visit the Collins family at Stop and Shop Auto Sales. Owned and operated by Bobby and Anderson since 1996, and now with the newest member of the team, George Collins. We specialize in quality trucks from Ford and Chevy, and also carry a variety of dependable cars and SUVs. All of our vehicles are professionally serviced and checked for safety and reliability. So come see us today in Sylacauga at 230 West 1st Street, or call 256-249-0322.
In Alabama, there are 2 things we take serious: football and barbecue. And at August Barbecue, we take our business serious. Our meat is smoked daily to give you the freshest and best quality. Ask about our daily vegetable specials. And don't forget about our beef brisket, served up every Thursday and Friday. We have a great outdoor seating area to enjoy the best live music around every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. Great service, great atmosphere, and great food. August Barbecue. You can taste the difference.
CallTheShield.com is the solution to pest and termite problems. APS shields your home from termite infestation, unwanted pests, mold and water intrusion, sagging floors, and unhealthy lawns. Visit calltheshield.com to schedule your free evaluation. That's calltheshield.com to schedule your free evaluation. Alabama Professional Services, protection for your home.
Hello and welcome back to Library Connection. I'm Mandy Cantrell. I'm talking with Holly Garrett. She teaches 3rd grade at Fayetteville School and has for, what'd you say, about 10 years? Is it 10?
About 10 years.
About 10 years there. Yes. We've been talking about some of the books from our library that she's used, and I know one I didn't bring was the Magic Treehouse series.
Well, there's a whole series.
Yeah, 50 or 60 of them. They're wonderful, though.
But that was one, I don't know if you mentioned it to me, but that was one this year that I started getting for Will, which they're higher 2nd grade level, beginning 3rd grade level, and on. And so those are books that I read aloud to Will. Since he is 5 years old.
Sure, yeah.
But I started really getting into those. I had heard of them before, but I'd never really read them. They are fictional books about a magic spinning treehouse with 2 main characters, Jack and Annie. But each book has a theme about maybe the Ice Age or the tundra. And even though they're fictional books, they have facts about those different time periods, dinosaurs, so that it's interesting for kids to learn those facts in a fictional book, and they feel like they can relate to the characters, but they're still learning important facts that they need to learn. And they're quick reads. They're like 60 pages. So that was one thing in small group instruction this year that I started pulling some of those for my students to read, and they've picked up on it. And they're also selecting those from our library to individually read. So just, again, anything to make a connection with your kids, to get them excited about reading. But those are definitely one series that they've enjoyed this year.
Good. That is great. And you don't have to read. You don't have to start with the first one. They're all. You can just read any of them. They're wonderful. A lot of historical things that go on there. Now, Holly also brought some pictures from her classroom. We're going to look at that. Well, from school, then from
school. Yes.
This is Will.
This is my Will, my 5-year-old Will, and this was actually taken by his kindergarten teacher at one of our last leadership club days and assembly days. He was celebrated, I guess, for reading over 100 books.
Wow.
And he has already started taking accelerated reader test, and he's gained 5 points. So that's what this picture was taken for, to celebrate him.
That's great. He's doing so good. That's wonderful.
This is actually at our house on a weather day. He's been big into coding, which is kind of like the beginning of robotics. Coding is when you program an object to move in a certain way. And you have to be very explicit in programming, exactly how it's going to turn, and then you have to move it straight. So he has a mouse that you have to code to get to the cheese, going through the different purple barriers and the orange loops, I guess you would call them. But it's, again, just the basics of computer science, you know, and which is what everything is geared toward. And this is a STEM product, science, technology, engineering, and math. This is something we have at home. Now at school, we have bee-bots that are very similar to this. It's just like a little bumblebee, and you have to get the bumblebee to go certain directions. And again, it's all about coding.
Oh, and that's the book we use, what the teachers do after you leave school.
Yes, I took this when I was reading it aloud to the kids. It was funny.
Yes.
This is a certificate that my class received. I think we've done like 5,000 math questions now.
Oh, my
you can see
goodness.
the date. But it's, I use math small groups as well, just like I do the reading small groups. And we have a math program called iExcel. And each indicator is a different math standard. It has several different problems. They have to make 100 on that standard before they go on. But anyway, that's one of their small groups, is to complete iExcel.
And this is a class achievement, not
this is
individual.
A class achievement, yes, ma'am.
Boy, that's great. Work as a team. That's awesome.
That's right. This is a picture from my reading small group instruction. This is my teacher center. You can kind of in the back, you can see the sticky notes from the rock, paper, scissors. But we were doing part of our reading program called Common Core Reading Ready. It has texts that match the standard, and they're probably, if I had to guess here, they're looking for text evidence, since they're both tracking with their finger to answer a question.
Okay. And those are things you teach, track with your finger.
Yes, ma'am. Again, they know it already, but we're just reinforcing it in 3rd grade.
Sure.
This is a picture of small group instruction as well. This is their book study small group where these students were reading the report card together to take an AR test on together. They're working together, but independently from me.
Okay.
So I just get books that are about on their level, and then as a small group, they read that.
Great. All right. Well, that's wonderful. I think that's so exciting. You have a lot of things going on in your room, don't you?
Yes, all the time.
I bet. And I'm so proud of Will. I'll have to tell the AR points. Some of the books at his age, the younger grades, are worth half a point. So he's read and tested on at least 10.
At least 10.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that is awesome. And to test on them, you take a test on the computer. You have to be able to read the questions and answer it, which is great experience, I think. That's great. So I'm really proud of Will. He reads very well.
Thank you. Thank you.
And he's been one of
Still
our
a work in progress.
Well, I mean, that's okay. That's what it is. And I know you have him read a lot at home. I know.
I do. Yes.
That's good. Well, that's true too. We have to give him that little nudge and help them know that it's important to us and important to them. But he's doing a great job because he's just in kindergarten right now.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
right. All right. Now we were going to talk about the importance of reading for third graders, or maybe cover some of that. Anything else you can tell us about what you teach with third grade?
Well, one thing that we talked about when you were talking about kindergarten, first and second grade,
Right.
they're learning the basics of reading. One thing, too, that my principal always says is, kindergarten, first, second grade, they're learning to read.
Yes.
And third, fourth, fifth, and on up, we're reading to learn.
Oh,
So
that's a big difference.
That is a
but,
big
yeah.
difference. I mean, they're having to use everything they've previously learned
Yes.
and apply it. Like I said, deeper comprehension. On those pictures when they were doing the Reading Ready, I love that reading program because it's really difficult text that the students have to work through. I know we read about the Statue of Liberty, that it was a gift to America, and the change of color, some big things in nonfiction text that they're having to work through, and then again use the text evidence, go back through to answer the questions. Right now we're working on using the illustrations, whether it's a photograph or an actual drawing, and describe how those illustrations are proving what's going on in the text. So again, a lot of nonfiction in third grade too. We're getting past, I don't want to say easier, but fiction is a little bit easier. Nonfiction, some things it may be hard to relate to.
Right.
But we're also digging deeper into that. So.
That is great. That is wonderful. Now, what else is going on at your school right now? We have about a minute left. What's going on at Fayetteville?
Well, tomorrow, actually, all of Talladega County will be at B.B. Comer High School. We have a STEAM symposium, and STEAM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Math. And our whole school system and school is on board with that. And we're just always trying to find ways for students to engineer or solve problems in meaningful context and real world context. So I'll be presenting with another third grade teacher tomorrow, and we'll also be attending lots of presentations to learn more how to incorporate STEAM in our classrooms.
Wow. Well, I am very excited about all the things that you have going on, Holly, and we're always glad to see you and Will come in the library to get bags of books.
Yes,
That's wonderful, though. We're excited about that, and I know you're inspiring all of other parents to read to their kids and do that, so it's wonderful because Will's doing a great job. And I thank you so much for joining me today. And we hope that you will come into the Comer Library and check out some of these books that you saw to read to teach or just for fun. So thank you for joining us on Library Connection, and we hope to see you at the library.